1, East Coast of the United States. Our bumper is running, and Jake McCandless is standing by. And we're recording and streaming. Everything's set. Let's count it down to Studio 14. Well, good evening. Welcome. This is PJNET.TV. I'm Coach Prasick, and we are here to contemplate a vexing question that all of us, I believe, have faced at one time or another, and that is, how can we get more traction on social media? We put out the content, we work, we pray, we do all those things, and the posts and the tweets continue to go thud, except for this man, Jake McCandless, the legend. Can I have your autograph, sir? Can I?
Oh yeah, definitely, right. Buy a book, I'll sign it. There you go. Please take one off the shelf, please.
Jake is always upbeat and up tempo, but he has a bounce in his step at the moment that can only be explained by the following: 10,000, north of 10,000 likes, 1.3 thousand shares, last check 304 comments, all because of this.
Yeah, why couldn't it be a book, right? Why couldn't it be something long form, like the hour sermons or something like that, right?
Well, actually, Jake, you get that kind of response from your posts on social media all the time, don't you?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. And no, it's been launched an author page finally. So I've been told since first started going writers conferences in 2014, 2015, you need an author page. So I figured 7 years later was a good time to do it. And but no, I've just always worked out on my personal page, and then we had one for the ministry, and just have really spent a lot of time studying digital marketing, online marketing, social media, all that stuff. But I've just not really put much of it to practice. I mean, I've been able to do engagement pretty well on my personal page, but our ministry page, it pretty much fell flat. And so we launched this new page I think it hit day 6 or 7 today. And we've just got a great response. It's been really good. But this one post, it's funny what goes around about Jesus coming back, is not only is that done well, but it's also given a lot of insight to how people view this, whether in church, not in church, unbelievers. It's been interesting getting the feedback and working with that.
Jake, I think we've all, we kind of want that to happen. And it's funny, occasionally we will have a post that will take off, maybe not to that extreme, but you know what I'm saying? And then we get that post that we really think is going to, boy, this is good. I can't wait.
Yes.
And and you wait, and it's crickets, and it just goes thud and goes down in flames. I think we've all gone to a seminar, read a book, read an article that's got the magic secret. So obviously you've read one of those books. What is the magic secret?
Well, I've read several of those books, sat in several of those seminars. I mean, it all builds up to one another, right? I mean, number one, it's putting into practice the one thing you learn. That tends to be a lot of mine is procrastinating and not running with it, not doing that. And that was kind of the goal when we started this new page, was to get out of my way, get out of my own way, and just try to run with something. But like you said, I mean, there's things that we really believe in, we post, and it just falls flat, thud, or over and over like that. And really, that's this post. And all the posts pretty much that we've done out of this page for this past week has been not necessarily what I would do, not necessarily me. It came from what I've been learning. Most recently, reading a book, 1 Million Followers by Brennan Kane, where he lays out. he'd worked in the social media, digital marketing market for a long time, has been behind the scenes for social media for a lot of big people and big stuff, but never had done it himself. Basically was a nobody online. And he just started from scratch, zero followers, and built 1 million in 30 days, and then wrote about it in his book. Of course, he knew the formulas, knew what to do, but just how it could. Basically, he was saying, you don't have to. You can be a nobody, but if you do the right things, push the right buttons, you can connect. And so, really leaned on that. One of the things that he really pushes is to make a hypothesis. There you go, of what you think's going to work. Test it and pivot from there. And so in this particular run, we did some tests and see what was fitting, and then push what was working. But at the same time, it's been a process over the last few years of learning who your audience is. I think a big thing that I've done a lot of times in my ministry is tried to speak to the masses and speak to nobody. I mean, if you don't have a target, you're not going to hit anything. And recently, I found this out. I had a podcast that ran in 2018. It was an awesome deal. I had signed a contract to work for basically a podcast record label out of Nashville, and we did a run for a season, and it was no audience. It was who we targeted was nobody, and so we sat back and just kind of reevaluated, and we finally, and I signed a 3-year contract, and it sat there for like 2 or 3 years because we're just trying to figure out the right direction, and we're moving with that. This hopefully any day I can announce the launch of this podcast called Stand Firm Parents. But that was a big lesson learned is who is your audience, and then what's their in digital marketing, it's, what's their pain points? What is it that they want to hear? But then also you've got to think not just what they want to hear, but what do they want to hear and then share is a lot of the thoughts. And so really the approach that we've taken in this past week is let's try to do something that might work versus just what I want to do. And that's a different way of thinking.
Well, I know that in some of the work that we've done here at PJNET.TV in the past on Twitter, we were getting phenomenal impact, reach, penetration. I mean, we were crushing it at every level.
Yeah.
And I myself started asking, what causes retweets?
Right.
And I wish I had a better answer. But here's my answer. Retweets cause retweets.
It is. Absolutely. And so I've really just said, okay, this month, the next few months, I'm focusing on just Facebook. I mean, I'm a Twitter ghoster anyway. I'm there for a bit, then I disappear. I get mad at something and tweet about it, and then I disappear for 3 months. Is tend to be my strategy. But so with it you're absolutely right. And what's interesting to me is since we had a few posts that did really well, somehow that has created a culture of sharing. Also, I reached out to those who have been the closest supporters of Stand Firm and shared, hey, we're launching this new page. Would you be willing to get behind it? And so I think, they came out of the gate with people willing to share, and it absolutely is. And it's almost like, we don't want to be left out. You don't want to be left out of something. And so it's like, oh, everybody else is sharing it. I might as well share it as well. But at the same time, it's still got to be something that speaks to you. And you see with this particular post, one thing that we're looking at, okay, so a lot of people following Stand Firm are in that prophecy world. They're studying prophecy. It's something important to them. Well, you can have something that resonates with you about prophecy, but why do you want to share that when a lot of people are not going to understand what you share, or a lot of people are going to say, hey, you're the crazy person. And so, the idea behind this was, how can we say it? How can we speak to people who have this interest in a way of things they want to share? And the heartbeat behind anybody who's, believing they're seeing something prophetically is they want to warn the people they care about. And so I think that's, the message part of that, the content part, creative part. But ultimately, like you said, it comes down to sharing, it comes down to retweets, people just joining the party.
Well, you alluded to something, and I have lectured, I guess, for lack of a better word, or coached. And oh, gee, Jake disappeared. Maybe he'll come back. This has happened before, if I remember right. If we can't fetch him back, we'll have to take some countermeasures. While he's gone, let me use this as an opportunity to share with our PJNET family specifically. Although if you're not in that, well, I hope you'll join us. It's open, you know. I've been saying that we're working on some stuff, and kind of vague, and to do a teaser. There he's back. Jake, you alluded to the fact that it's a new launch and you had contacted some of your closest supporters. And I want to raise two issues. One is teamwork.
Yes.
Folks, we need to work together. We all post stuff that is worthy of more merit, of more retweets, more reposts, more likes, more shares. But I have this theory that we're all shouting underwater. That any one of us, I mean, we can shout as loud as we want, but it's not getting heard. Yep. But there's a thing called critical mass. Okay, is once it gets to a certain point, then it takes off exponentially. Well, I don't know how to get to critical mass. If I did, I would be the one being hosted on your program instead of the other way around. But Zig Ziglar talks about priming the pump. Okay. This is where teamwork can come in, because a tweet that is posted by any one of us that may not get noticed, if we'll all gang up and what I call pile on, we can raise it out of that water to where the message can be heard in a broader scope. So this wasn't exactly solo. You had a little help getting this thing above water.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll say that group is like 35 that reached out to, and they're not. It's not necessarily a social media group. These were more actually these were the financial supporters behind Stand Firm, is who we shared it out before first. People who have a vested interest in what's going on, and so. But yeah, I gave a starting point of sharing. And did invest some. I think we're at like $17 so far in ad spend. So I had the numbers that you shared, but then we also had the dark post ad version that got shared over 360 times, and it's 3 days of run. That's in addition to this as well. But it's I think like exactly what you said. It's teamwork, and that's something everybody in the chat. I mean, this is a great group of sharing. And that's what I really love about the writing community. One thing that I run into is you still you've got to be true to you and your message and quote your brand. And so a lot of times something that you want to share on behalf of somebody may not fit you. I mean, right. I think that's something that needs to be understood. I mean, there's a lot of things I would love to share to help someone out, but it was just totally a different direction of brand. Right. But at the same time, you can still find some way to help somebody. Just commenting. I mean, have a conversation within the comments is going to shoot it up. I mean, especially when we're talking about our personal pages and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can do to help one another.
I actually we're working on something while you were briefly interrupted off the air there. We're actually working on something right now on our YouTube channel, and a shout out to Doug Carter and right now, and later on Sherry Lynn Bisbano will be jumping on board as soon as she gets recovered a little bit. But engagement counts. Keywords count. There's a secret to this. Or no, there's not a secret. There is a craft to this, and I think we all want our social media posts to get more exposure. Most of us in the Christian writing community, the PJNET family, we're interested in advancing a gospel message, and it really gets discouraging and depressing to some extent when we're sharing the gospel and it seems like nobody cares, but this is where we can help a friend out.
Yeah. And I would say like, so we launched this new page. It's called Stand Firm Jake. And really throughout all ministry stuff, I have pretty much hid behind the ministry, or hid behind, anytime I've done stuff in ministry work, it's always been the name of that ministry, not Jake McCandless Inc., type thing, ministry. And I think there's merit in that. I think that's good. But at the same time, people want personality. They want the face behind it. And it's just something that I've had a hard time just promoting on books, things like that, just really just had to work on myself, my own mind, and get past myself and say, hey, this message is important to you. You're investing your life into it. Why not do whatever it takes to get out there and share? And so I think that's probably for all of us in here. We've got that battle between the ears it's really tough. It's really hard, and especially as you battle on and don't see results.
I know that I recently had a post. It's a new idea. I kind of want to propose it as a challenge. We have had, or I have at least noticed in the past week or so, some celebrities that have died. It started with Betty White, and then Sidney Poitier, and you could throw in Bob. What's his name? Siegel. It's not Bob Seger, but anyway, Bob Saget. And I'm amazed. I was impressed with all of the effusive testimonies, that were being poured out,
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, isn't it too bad that we wait until people die to say good things about them? So I did a little a spontaneous one of those God type things. God just kind of put it on my heart. I'm going to do it more often, and I'll challenge you all to do it. And it paid off in spades. If I can put a post on Facebook and get 5 likes and 1 share, that's all right. But I thought, our associate producer Barbara has been with PJNET literally since day one. And so I just said, said nice things about her. All of a sudden, this thing's got like 62 likes, and and I wonder, could all of us take that challenge to not wait until people die to share some of the nice things that we know about them? And it would be certainly a relief, I think, if a few people would do that. It would make my social media experience more pleasant, because most of what I see on social media, I'll be honest with you, it isn't very nice.
No, not at all. At all. No, absolutely. One of the phrases I began going to Christian writers conferences, like I guess like Blue Ridge. I know many are familiar with that. We always think in terms of like any type work. We're thinking divine appointments. We're thinking what's good for us. What's gonna. And someone used the term holy introductions, and to me that has been such a who can you introduce? Who can you take to the next level in what they're doing? And so many people have reached out and helped me along the way. I hope I've done the same, as well as I just love the chance to make introductions, and because you just never know when those doors open. And I will say again, this community here at PJNet, it's one that just supports and cheers on one another. But I think that's something that we need to challenge ourselves. How can we make hope? Not just thinking about what divine appointments waiting on us. But who can we introduce to who and
be
and
that divine appointment?
Forward. Yeah,
be
absolutely.
that divine appointment. We often pray for others, which is great. But how about being the answer to somebody else's prayer?
Yeah, absolutely.
We think of it. What chaps my butt is when people tag.
Oh no!
When people tag me on a post. Now if the post is relevant, if I'm in the context of the post, but you'll see, oh, you and 99 others have been posted. Well, I immediately go to my profile page and hide that thing. That's not the. I know we all need to get attention, folks, but I'm not sure that. I know that's not well received by me.
No, not at all. Yeah, not at all.
And a lot of times Well, yeah, let's not go there. But it's not the way to do it. I was noticing, Jake, after the game last night, I was very disappointed in some believers, sore losers. I've often said that competitive football in particular, but any competitive sport, can bring out the best or the worst in us. It was hard for me to hold my fire and rebuke some professing Christians saying, why don't you just congratulate the other team?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't, this.
And how could someone not last night? I mean, I don't know how you feel, but it was one of the best games I felt like I was watching greatness on both sides, and it's rare that happens, but absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah. Why can't we get along, right?
If people saw some of the stuff I saw that were not believers, I can just imagine them saying, "If this is what Christianity is all about, I don't really care for it."
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. I was very disappointed to get that emotionally involved in a football team to the point that you make disparaging remarks about others on the other side. My heart was broken, and I hope that no matter how passionate we are for Jesus Christ, that whatever we say it in love.
No, absolutely. It's we all need to practice that. Just stop and think right before we post. What a difference that would make.
If what you're about to say is not an improvement on silence, perhaps you should say it.
Yes, I've got an app that has it's related to health, but you're supposed to stop, think, and challenge, and then you can write. So you can write in what the challenge is before you, give you time to slow you down and think, and then it will shoot up your goals and all that stuff. Maybe we need that just to happen before we get on any social media as well. It
could. Well, Jake, congratulations on. I didn't know this was the launch of a new page. I even joined it. I thought, I haven't joined this page, and I guess that's why I didn't know about it until now.
That's right. Yeah.
But so, all right. So, social media guru, what's in the future for Jake? You're going to have more of these posts that go viral, or now is it sort of a letdown?
Oh no! It's cool to see it working. So when we started, it was the commitment of, hey, we're going to utilize. We're not just going to do something, try to get some likes and go on. I wanted to really engage and make a commitment. So so making a commitment towards that, continue working that, and really excited. I mentioned the podcast. So the podcast comes out hopefully anytime. We'll be making announcements. Stand Firm Parents, and so it's taken the journey I've been on with Stand Firm Ministries and dealing with persecuted church and just challenges to the faith, and trying to take that back to parenting. And it's been a really cool, interesting. I mean, a lot of the interviews have been done, and it's been really neat with that. And over this next year, and we've got a released, of course, the Children's Book Jesus and the White Horse, which went to its third printing, by the way, just the other day, which is just incredible on that. And so we have the next age group for that, and just got some artwork back for that. Super excited. Hopefully see that moving forward here soon. And but really, one of the things that we're continuing our programming. We've been teaching every Thursday night, and then we have our follow-up interview on Friday. We're still doing every Friday, but I'm going to every other Thursday, and then hopefully to get back blogging and getting some written content out there, and instead of just video. So kind of kicking it old school a bit, going back to the written word. So trying to get back on that.
Odd that you should bring that up. Last night, I don't know where it came from, but it's the simple things that we don't do and neglect to do that can make the big difference, because I do believe that you're onto something. Doug Carter and I have been collaborating on how do we make our ministries more relational. You talked about, you kind of hide behind that corporate veil, Stand Firm Ministries, which on the one hand has merit because it's not about us personally.
Right.
But people don't relate to organizations. They relate
Right.
to people.
Right.
Well, last night at about 2 in the morning, I went to, what's that, vistaprint.com. And I ordered us some thank you notes with the PJNET logo, custom made thank you notes. And I thought to myself, when we have guests on our or people that are on the team, people that are involved, wouldn't it be nice just to take a moment, even if you did one a day, or even if you did 3 a week, and just take 2 minutes out of your day to just write a personal note and thank someone for their involvement and how your life is better because of them, and drop it in the mail. How hard could that be? But I don't do it. When's the
It
last
must be
time
really hard because I don't either.
When's the last time you got a personal letter in the mail?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. It was but August, September, when I was sick with COVID, I had someone write a letter, and it meant the world, for them to take the time to write.
And it's easy to say I don't have time to do that. So we're going to embark upon just being more relational with people, and not the brand is one thing. You want to build the brand, but I think a means of doing that is to simply network, build relationships, one-on-one conversations, phone calls, text messages, emails, those type things. Or get this, make a comment on the YouTube video. And we're going to hear more about this because we are just beginning to see some results trickle in from an experiment that we're doing on our YouTube channel, which typically, Jake, gets single-digit views, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, and I think to myself, how can that be? But Doug is going in and editing the descriptions and the titles, and we've done like half a dozen of them, and I can already see the pulse of this thing going up.
It's crazy. I mean, the SEO, it's crazy.
Yeah.
The little things you can do and tweak. It is.
Yeah. And it's like, make a comment on the video, like the video. Well, heck, here's one for you. Watch the video.
That's right. Just leave it playing and tell them, and get the stats that you did watch it, right?
Yeah, but and I am cautiously optimistic that maybe our YouTube channel might have life and breath, but we weren't getting anything out of it, Jake. But we weren't putting anything into it.
That's it.
And isn't that so often we hear people, I want, they know what they want, but they're not real focused on the investment. They're real focused on the dividends.
Yeah, well, and I know me, or get paralyzed because you want to make sure you're doing it right, or you don't feel you can. And I spend a lot of paralysis, and you got to jump out there and do it. But at the same time, you've got to do the little things. Really, and I don't practice this myself, but it would be more important to have half the videos and spend that other half the time working on your SEO and engagement than it would to have maybe the full number of videos you have. That's something that myself, I need to hear that. Maybe I need to write that down for myself, but it absolutely is. And it's a game, and I'm not one that likes to play the game, but you really have to do that. And, if you do the things that are needed, the little things. If you go a lot of the post, how Google's set up, a lot of the blog post about particular things that get shot up to the top of the search engine thing is not because they're great content, not because they're well written or entertaining at all. It's just because they check the boxes that that's being searched for. And so it's frustrating for us who are creative and are trying to do a craft well at the same time, but you got to play the game, unfortunately, as well.
Well, think of it in a different light. What you said is true, but the opposite side of that coin is this. What that means is that there's a lot of good content out there that never will see the light of day. Not because the content isn't good. It's because they have not implemented those things, as you call it, playing the game. But we have to pay attention to the details. You can tune your car up, but if you don't, put gas and oil in it and change the tires, and you never put the key in the ignition, it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And we focus on polishing the paint and getting all the dust off the windshield and vacuuming the carpet. Well, those are all good things. But cars were not intended for that. Cars were intended to go somewhere and to take you there. And if the intent of our ministry is to share the gospel, the caution that I must remind myself of and everybody else while I'm at it is, do not compromise your message in an attempt to widen your audience.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think if you really do the things that's required to get a message out there, it should actually refine your message. I mean, it should make it where it's more, more. You've got to know your audience to have something that or you got to then learn who's becoming your audience, and to do that and to understand how to speak into that. And so it should help the message become more directed, but you still got to stay you. And I think that really, to me, it's almost social media. It's put so many different voices out there, and it made it, so probably all of us could have a voice. That's great. And then we think about all the noise you got to cut through, but at the same time, it allows us to find a niche that we can speak into, and still that niche, it's enough people in that niche that we're not going to hit a ceiling in our lifetime. And so we can still.
Jake froze up again. Let me guess, we're going to get the big question mark in a minute that says, no, he's not there anymore. I'm sure he was about to say even more profound things. While he's maybe trying to jump back on, I'm gonna reset the connection real quick. He mentioned earlier to know your audience, okay? And yep, there he goes. Well, maybe he'll be back. And that reminded me of the story, or implicit in that is, do not try to all people. Well, hey, Jake, good to have you back.
Hey, that's one way to change the subject.
Yeah. Is it past your bedtime? You have to go pee or something?
It's yeah.
Jake, while you was out, I was starting a story germane to your comment, know your audience. And the other side of that coin is, don't try to be all things to all people. And to help illustrate this point, I will share a story that you will not forget about the old man, the young man, and the donkey. Have you heard this? They were traveling, and they arrived in town, and the young man was riding the donkey. And they were accosted by this person saying, "Young man, do you have no respect for your elders? You should be the one walking, and he should be riding that donkey." So the young man got off the donkey, and the old man got on the donkey, and they went to the next town. And they were accosted, saying, "What child abuse that is." That poor young man. And so they decided, well, we'll both just ride the donkey. And so they arrive at the next town, and they are accosted, saying, "How cruel to that animal to have both of you riding on it," So then they decided to just walk the donkey. So they get to the next town, and absolutely neither one of them are riding the donkey. And they are accosted, saying, "How stupid that is." Well, now they just feel like they're totally out of options. They've tried every combination. So the young man throws 2 legs over his shoulder, the old man throws 2 legs over his shoulder, and they proceed to the next town carrying the donkey. Well, the young man, they were crossing this bridge, and the young man lost his footing and fell, and that donkey went over the rail and plunged to his death. Well, the moral of the story is, if you try to please everybody, you might as well kiss your ass goodbye, because you can't.
Oh, wow. Yeah, unforgettable. But that is, you're not going to make anybody happy. You know, it's got, pick one, right?
Well, another thought that came to my mind, you said that your book was in its third printing, The White Horse. Forget the exact title, but, the thought that came to my mind is, Jake, that was targeted at a group that will be a little bit older in a couple of years and more able to take on more mature, content and concepts. So you could actually come out with you could follow this thing as they grow up with follow-up books that, in 2 or 3 years, they will be beyond the age that type of book would be appealing to them. You could kind of grow up with them.
Yeah, no. So we have the chapter book, that's the next age group up on Jesus' return. And again, nothing out there, and really, within Christian, Christian fiction. I mean, there's just not a lot for that age group anyway, especially that's illustrated. And so, I had the illustrator just got the artwork just today, and the cover art. And so, we're looking to see where that ends up here in a bit. And then we're also working. We have the bones of a youth Bible study along that same subject. And you're right, because we feel like I feel like there's five areas I'm focused on that's not being told to kids. The whole story's been parts being left out. It's not all of it, but it's parts of it. And so we're wanting to do again run the gamut, all age groups on those subjects. And so so I'm really excited about that and seeing where that project goes.
Well, Jake, congratulations on launching, and this is a great start. And I hope that by the time we see you again, that you'll have even more things to share and bigger and better things to share. But I'm glad we had a little extra time tonight. Thanks for sharing your time with us, and we appreciate all you do for our ministry here, and we stand alongside you in yours.
Absolutely. Always love being on. It was fun.
All right. Thank you, Jake. All right. Well, folks, that was Jake McCandless. He's one of our team players that appear on PJNET once a month, and it's always encouraging to hear from him. And I'm glad we had a little extra time. We got a little something special coming up tomorrow night. We have one guest filling 2 time slots. Yeah, really. Barbara hatched that one. Be here at 9 p.m. Eastern for Julie Lavender. And there will be a special presentation at that time. And then at 9:30, our guest is, Julie Lavender. You got it. Really, it's going to be interesting. And Barbara came up with this idea. I think it's pretty good. We're getting pretty close to announcing some things. Let me just tease you a little bit. Let me share with you. My heart grieved when I had to make the decision to cancel the event that was scheduled for this Saturday, and primarily because I hate losing. I just don't like, and I hate quitting, and I felt like I'm quitting. But in talking about this decision with several of our PJNet family, it was made clear to me that there's a difference between quitting and deferring when to do it and how to do it. And it's evident to me that what we need to do is become more relational in our ministry and not have a y'all come attitude and more of a we come to you. So let's go to where they are. So I've been up the past couple of nights very late doing some engineering to find ways, and we're almost there, to bring PJNet into the field and take the events to where the people are rather than asking the people to come to where the events are. And I'm very, very excited about it. And it's been a rather humbling experience, but I know that the prayers that go up for PJNet and our ministry and our mission, folks, your prayers are being felt, and we are, it could happen within the next 3 months that we will be taking PJNet on the road, in not trying to necessarily have the largest attendance, but rather have a time that is meaningful, that is, I don't want to say convenient, but the goal is that you can drive to it enjoy it, and then drive back to your home that evening. Okay? In other words, no hotel room. Now, you may have a long drive, depending on, and we'll do this probably more than once a year. I'd like to do it at least 3 times a year, but we'll just find out we'll have to kind of find the sweet spot, you know. But I want it to be informative. I want it to be a good fellowship, but I also want it to be beneficial. And I'm going to call them a seminar. The work that Doug is doing right now would be valuable to a lot of people. And we could have him share, here's what we did. And it's a case study, PJNET on YouTube going, and then up, okay? It didn't just happen. It's work, but is it worth it? Well, yes. Yes, if we're trying to share a gospel message, we want to expose that message to as many people as possible. And we don't want to, I can't stand self-promotion and self-aggrandizement. It makes me want to puke. And I want to keep ourselves humble, keep ourselves relational, warm, friendly, encouraging, and not bombastic and off the, fear-mongering and stirring up anger and things like that are good for ratings, to be honest. But if that's what you have to do to get ratings, well, we'll just not have the ratings, okay? But you all have been very good, and I'm more enthused now about this year than I have been in some time. There's been some good old days. Some of you were here. Many of you were not. But I think God is showing favor to PJNet right now. If I don't have, which I don't, your postal mailing address, would you please send that to me? Because I would like to write, well, you heard me say earlier, okay? And maybe if we work together, maybe if we pray together, maybe if God shows favor on our work and on our prayers, well, maybe, just maybe, we can move the needle out there. What's the boldest thing you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And when was that? If we're going to move that needle out there in a dark and lost world, we can't be satisfied with either answer.